So, Joe, there was some news today, not completely confirmed, that former OC, but now might be OC, but for sure wide receiver coach for the Ohio State Buckeyes, Brian Hartline, may be their next offensive coordinator after Chip Kelly getting $6 million a year to go to Las Vegas, that he may be the next offensive coordinator. In the year in 2023, as you alluded to earlier, Brian Hartline was not the mainstay play caller. Ryan Day was also heavily involved, but they may lean to Ryan Day and Brian Hartline yet again. Because it's not yet confirmed, let's talk about the possibility of him being the next OC with the Ohio State Buckeyes. Your thoughts on the overall move?
First of all, this was reported on by Buckeye Scoop. There has not been anybody else that has substantiated that claim. So this could completely change. We see this all the time with these small accounts that do team-specific coverage that have an unaffiliated website. Things can change. It is a little odd that Brian Hartline's bio says offensive coordinator and has not been adjusted. Don't know if that was from when he was the offensive coordinator last. I don't know if I hate or like this move, Blake, because when I first texted you about this, the first thought that I had was, I hate this. This sucks. The last time he was holding an offensive coordinator title, the offense was a mess. Kyle McCord played poorly. Marvin Harrison Jr. had a good season, but was up and down. A lot of the times where they needed to produce big yards, Penn State, Notre Dame, Michigan, that's where the concern comes into play. But we don't know what he's like as a play caller. He could be a good play caller. That is where the uncertainty comes into play of having Ryan Day as that decision maker at the time and him not being the one actually calling the plays. We don't know what this is going to be like. There's maybe a year of Chip Kelly's offense being implemented and him now just being able to run that. Is it going to work? There's just a lot of questions.
So there's a couple of layers to this. Some that are out of would be Brian Hartline's control if he does call plays. The thing that I think is interesting here, what does he have to break in? New offensive line, new quarterback, new running backs. What are you expecting from him? That would be the ultimate thought process that I would have about Brian Hartline. What happened last year? I mean, your head coach went away from the quarterback that went to Syracuse. I'm not here to have the debate about Kyle McCord and Will Howard on this day, but here's what I know for sure. They moved on from him. So all the things that you wanted to blame on Brian Hartline or Ryan Day or whatever, they moved on and went and got a guy that got benched in Will Howard and won a natty. That was the reality of the situation here. I don't think, unless you go out and make a massive splash hire like you did with Chip Kelly, I don't think that there's necessarily another avenue other than potentially just, I don't want to say call a year a wash, right? Like I never want to call a year a wash of what you're trying to do, because they could be in the playoffs and they can make a run and it's not really a wash. Who knows? But I don't know if Ryan Day wants to get back involved in that. Once coaches are able to be on both sides of the ball and be the head coach, most of them do not want to go back to calling plays. It takes a lot out of you. It's asking more for Ryan Day. And I am not, how do I want to say this? It doesn't miss me the article that came out with Ryan Day's wife, Julie, I believe was her name. And I read it, and she was talking about the death threats that they were getting, the outright craziness that was going on, and Ryan going home every night to his kids and his wife and saying, I'm getting us out of this. This will not be our life. We're going to go and win the national title. Joe, the crazy thing about that is he's under already immense pressure. Now, he's playing with house money right now because he just won a national title. But I don't think that this is necessarily a bad move. But there are a lot of obstacles that you got to overcome. And I don't think that I do think that when we look at it at the end of the season, let's just say for argument's sake that they don't live up to expectations of what we think about Ohio State. Okay, well, you're replacing a crap load of stuff. Arguably two really good NFL running backs, a first-round wide receiver, an experienced quarterback, offensive line, the best center in the game. And I'm trying to ask, well, what is fair and justified for anybody who's the OC or whoever's calling plays? if Brian Hartline is the next OC, here's what I would say. If he's actually the OC and calling plays, you have a gunslinger at quarterback, and I use that word not really knowing much about Julian saying of what he would actually do. But you have a guy that can throw the football around. You got to go and do it, and you got to unleash him. So I guess we'll see. But I think that there's a lot of question marks that Ohio State as a team has to overcome more than just Brian Hartline offensively.
I think one part of this that makes me feel a little bit wary, that 2023 season, as I just mentioned there, it was rocky offensively. If we want to sit here and do the bit of blaming Kyle McCord, I'm not going to play that game. The blame goes further than that. Emeka Egbuka was also hurt for part of that year, for a good portion of that year. So they didn't really have
Marvin Harrison Jr. and Emeka Egbuka.
But Emeka Egbuka was banged up.
Hurt. Right.
Was hurt. But so what I'm just trying to say is that the resources for the play calling in that situation that year weren't great. But it makes me feel a little bit off thinking about how they were all over the place and Ryan Day wouldn't allow for Hartline to call plays. Like seeing that it wasn't working, him being the play caller, they scored 17 points against Notre Dame early on in the season. I think that should have been the first red flag that this thing isn't going the way that they had hoped. Why didn't he turn to Brian Hartline then? He was listed as the offensive coordinator. It wouldn't have been exactly some crazy in-season move to turn to him to ask him to call plays. The part I'm hung up on is not knowing what Hartline's going to be as a play caller, because he was listed as an offensive coordinator and was not trusted to call the plays the first time around. Are we supposed to just believe that he's some hidden gem? We know he's a great receivers coach. We know he's a great recruiter with the guys that he has brought into that room and the talent that he has developed. All of those things, he is in the upper tier.
Why not give him a shot?
But I just feel like it's such an unknown. It's just such a significant unknown when there's other options out there of guys who are proven play callers. You're Ohio State. I just don't love this thought of giving a guy a shot that hasn't called plays before. I mean, you as an individual who covers LSU, you know the frustrations of this past year turning the keys over to someone who's never called plays before and what it did to your offense.
Oh, no, I 100%, but I think it's a completely different scenario in this sense. It's a different scenario based off of where they're at, but who they are, right? Like, I mean, Joe Sloan, love him to death, but I mean, it's a different situation. I'm with you on the understanding of if you're going to do this, you need to lean on it. You know, like, I don't know what else to say. I don't know if this is finalized. I mean, only one source or one person is doing this. I will say this to defend him and to defend that offense, okay, from the 2023 season. Michigan ran the ball all over them, right? Like this wasn't just an offensive issue. Like as an example, that game was 30-24 and you lost to the national champion. Okay. When you look at the overall team stats, they ran for 156 yards on you, but the time of possession, they had the ball for 34 minutes. They played Michigan football, right? Like it wasn't just an offense that they were off in. Right? Like, I mean, it was a lot of different categories and areas. We'll see, man. I mean, it's gonna be very interesting to see what happens. I'm with you on this. I do think that there are a lot of G5 head coaches. I do think that there are a lot of mid-level coordinators that are known for calling plays and are really good at this that you need to kick the tires on. Joe, long are the days that a head coach won't go be a coordinator at Ohio State. Well, and I think it would be lazy. Oh, sorry. One last thing. I think it would be lazy for you to just promote that quickly without doing formal interviews of what you need to do.
Right. It feels a bit quick, and I know that's not – they definitely had known that Chip Kelly was going to leave, so this conversation has probably been had for a while now.
You mean to tell me Chip Kelly didn't tell his mentoree that he was going to be going into the NFL?
That's exactly what I'm saying is like there's no way that he probably told him before the national championship game that he was getting phone calls to be an NFL offensive coordinator. The part that I'm hung up on, though, is Kevin Wilson was fired from Tulsa. He was the last OC. That is something I would actually feel good about. Bringing back the guy who was one of your last successful offensive coordinators that you trusted and that called plays for you specifically. That's an example of something that works. Throwing a shitload of money at Will Stein, forget the side of if Will Stein should do it or not. That's something that I would also do. We live in a world where success is produced by outbidding your rivals and conference foes for their assistant coaches. That's the world that we live in. There is money to be spent in order to attract premier coaching talent. They have the money. They spent a shitload of money the first time around bringing in Chip Kelly and Jim Knowles. I would assume that they're probably going to try and spend a bunch of money on whatever defensive coordinator they hire. It just feels a little complacent. That's my whole problem with this. Is it just feels really complacent, like they won a national title and Ryan Day is just grinning. And that's it.
It would be very lazy to not kick the tires on everybody else. That's how I would characterize it. That's what I'd say about it. Let's see, man. If you do that, I said do, but if you do that, you need to allow him to call plays because you can't make that quick of a move and then just unless Ryan Day takes it over. I mean, he can do whatever he wants. It's his program. But you can't do that unless you're going to have a formalized plan of what you want to do. So we'll see. I mean, you're hiring a guy that would be a first-time play caller. So we'll see. To Ghoster in the chat, Joe, did I pick Notre Dame or Ohio State to win the national title?
You picked Ohio State.
Okay. Why do Ohio State fans hate me?
Both of y'all were rooting for Notre Dame. That didn't happen.
I promise you, I was not rooting for Notre Dame.
Two Buckeye haters who picked. Hey, dipshit in the chat. I'm a Notre Dame fan. I picked Notre Dame because I'm a Notre Dame fan. Hey, dumbass, go back to the fucking videos that we had at the beginning of this shit is so dumb. These people that don't think anything through.
Get him, Joe.
Go back to last February when we did our way too early national championship picks. Go back to all of the preseason videos that we did. You lost to Michigan, and we said that Ryan Day was a huge issue. God forbid we said the same thing that everyone else did. So stupid. He's not the only one who's commented that this week.
I picked him to win it all. But
I did, yes. We did a whole freaking segment. We did a whole segment at the start of the playoffs saying that Ohio State has the biggest chance to win a national championship this year. We both picked them at the beginning of the playoff. Whatever. People make their own narratives.
I know, man. And so people said, well, Blake said this. I'm like, can you go find where I said it? Miraculously, it doesn't exist.